From the dawn of the silver screen, the film review of a respectable movie critic has been a sacred bond between moviegoer and critic. Well, screw that! This useless film review comes from two idiots who don't know what they're talking about. Just like you. Two dudes who don't know what the they're doing right now.
Hey guys, welcome back to Useless Reviews. What was that?
I had to cough.
Oh. Well, take two. I'm Irving and Jared, this is Jared Masten, and we're here today to argue the morality of life. Like Harvey Weinstein and the rest of, whatever Buster Scruggs implies.
That's funny, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I got a lot of social commentary out of that movie.
I got a lot of, like, really ambitious shots at, like, what is morality?
Yeah.
Is there good or bad?
You know,
Is there right and wrong?
It reminded me of Star Trek. Star Trek likes to take morality and, like, social issues and put them in space so it's, like, neutral. And this did the same thing except it's in the Old West.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of what it did.
Alright, so if you haven't caught on, we're talking about the Ballad of Buster Scruggs today.
Yeah.
And, Jared, do you want to give a summary of it?
Before we do that, we should talk about... I read somewhere that there was a controversy about this film being nominated for awards because big-time directors don't think that Netflix films should be in the same category as films that are put out in theaters.
That's dumb.
Oh, I think that's dumb too, but a lot of the people arguing that are people that direct blockbusters. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. Do you think that this film should be nominated for an award for Best Picture?
I mean, when has distribution ever mattered? Like, it's always ever been, like...
Mm-hmm.
Like, if those Sundance Awards that, like, 6 people watch still can win Best Picture of the Year, then why can't a Netflix movie?
Oh, I agree. And a lot of people think that, oh, well, maybe it's just being nominated because of Ethan and Joel Cohen. But, I don't know. I guess we'll talk about how good it really is.
The name kind of carries a lot. Like
the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
I can see what they were trying to go for narratively.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good, though.
So, okay.
Good in the sense of it entertaining rather than being like a philosophical argument for 2 hours.
So you watched this once?
No, I watched most of it once, but I watched a couple of the short ones twice.
Okay, yeah. I watched this when it first came out, and then I watched it just before we recorded. And I have to say, some of them are really good, and some of them are really bad. And I was really disappointed because I really like the Cohen Brothers. No Country for Old Men is like one of my favorite movies, and this kind of fell flat on its face because I was expecting something a little bit more like that.
Wait, we should
jump into the plot.
No, summarize it.
The film. Just summarize what the film's about.
Yeah,
okay. Welcome to Useless Film Synopsises with Jared Masten, the part of the show where Jared comes out and gives a useless film synopsis. Welcome to Monument Valley. The Old West. Meet Buster Scruggs, a well-educated and eloquent gunslinging musical lunatic who goes on a rampage and kills some people, including Mr. Krabs, before an even more well-educated and eloquent gunslinging lunatic comes along and shoots him in the noggin. Basically, life's short and then you die.
That's not even what I got from the fucking film. We got totally different things. We're gonna fight about this whole
Welcome to Tucumcari, New Mexico, the perfect place to film a Western because film tax incentives. But totally just coincidence. Meet Harry Osborn, some dude who looks conveniently like James Franco. Join in as he robs a bank only to find out that the teller is a crazy SOB who chases him down in his underwear. Upon waking up, he finds himself to be hung, only to watch everyone else die, only to get rescued, and then get arrested, and then finds himself to get hung. I didn't like that one.
You said hung a lot.
Yeah.
Then I got hung up on that.
Welcome to wherever the hell this takes place. Meet Liam Neeson's nameless jackass character, a sick madman who takes a limbless man around to perform famous poems and speeches for money. But when he gets tired of not making enough money and having to drag the poor man around to all the brothels in town, he replaces him with a chicken and kills him. That's right, he killed him for a freaking chicken. So join in as we are all reminded that all's well that ends well. Oh wait, that's not right. Join in as we are reminded that animals will be our new overlords.
First of all, the chicken could do math. And second of all, I find it weird that you seemed like you didn't enjoy this story since it's like a warning against all libertarian values.
I conveniently didn't hear that.
Welcome to a generic beautiful valley populated by beautiful CGI animals, only to be scared away by a gross-looking hairy white guy.
Wow, I really feel like this is my autobiography.
Join him as he digs for gold.
You're a gold digger too?
What?
Join him as he digs for gold.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, I guess he gets shot, I guess, so that's cool.
Yeah, this one really sucked. I didn't like that one.
This one, this one's so jam-packed with criticism of, like, contemporary U.S. It's, oh, God. The whole fucking movie is just like, what are your values? They're bullshit.
Welcome to the Oregon Trail. Meet a girl and her dead brother. Spoiler alert, it runs in the family. Join in the Twilight love story as she falls for a guy she just met and then kills herself because Native Americans attack and she's afraid of what they'll do to her. Yeah, because we totally didn't take their land or anything.
Did you get it that the narrator is unreliable in this one?
The narrator?
At the very end of it, this guy's fucking lying. He murdered that bitch to, like, keep that man for himself. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
And then last but not least, meet 5 random people in a stagecoach. It's kind of like the movie Stagecoach, only not at all because it's not that fun. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I slept through this whole last part.
Yeah, because it's the most meta one of all. It's so meta, it's like using its own asshole as a hat.
Oh my god.
It's like a meta narrative within a meta narrative.
This has been Useless Film Synopsises with Jared Masten, the part of the show where Jared comes out and gives a useless film synopsis. Thank you. Thank you. The only person that claps harder for me is my mom.
That's good, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah. Okay.
Everyone loves their mother's support.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right?
Speaking of which, I like your mom's support. She said she enjoys the podcast more when I'm stoned, so I took that to heart.
Shout out to mom. Okay, so we kick it off with the first story called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And obviously this film it's like a book from back then that was like several short stories put together in a movie where you're surprised by what happens in the first part.
Yeah.
They kill off the title character.
They kill off, and you quickly realize that this isn't like a movie. Like, this is a lecture.
Well, actually, I quickly realized when I first started watching this the first time, I wasn't aware this was going to be a musical or a comedy, because I was expecting, like I said, like No Country for Old Men in the West. Not at all what happened. And, you know, it opens up with that dude. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he was in Holes as the annoying counselor, singing a song about water. And he was like he's using like the canyon walls to like project his voice, and oh my god, I liked it. It was funny. But
do you when you watch a movie, do you subscribe to like the theories that they're based around? Like, if I told you this is a postmodern deconstruction of a Western,
yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's
absolutely.
what this fucking movie is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so deconstructed because it's not just a movie; it's an anthology movie. So it's like 6 different movies that are told through the lens of a story, and then sometimes those characters talk directly to the person.
Yeah,
directly.
They break the fourth wall. Yeah, he breaks the fourth wall like 5 minutes into the movie,
and like the whole time, like. So they've physically deconstructed the story. It's not one movie, it's 6 movies. And it's not actually a movie, it's a story. And then they break it even more by breaking the fourth wall. And then they break it more by, like, totally destroying all the values that Westerns kind of embody. Like, Buster Scruggs, the first one, is all about good versus evil. Like, is there right and is there wrong? Yeah. And Buster Scruggs says... It's just human nature to want to kill people sometimes. Like, he's actively telling the audience that, like, there's no such thing as good or bad.
Yeah, well, when you say, like, just deconstructing a Western, I think the key figure of a Western is, like, there's a guy who's, like, you don't really know much about him. He comes into town, and he believes in chivalry, and he does the right thing. And in the 5th one, there's 6 of these, right?
Uh-huh.
The 5th one, the guy, his chivalry actually gets the main character killed.
I want to talk to you about that one, because that
was my favorite one. But
there's a lot of evidence, I think, in the movie that points out that is not what it seems.
We'll talk about it when we get there, I guess. But, like, this opening scene when he's singing on his horse, like, there's some really ambitious shots in it, too. They're in Monument Valley, which is where they used to film all the old
beautiful.
westerns.
Like,
yeah. There's a shot from inside a guitar. I really like the opening scene. And then he goes in to get some whiskey or sarsaparilla or something.
Well, and Buster Scruggs is the character that breaks the fourth wall.
Yes.
Like, he talks to the audience, and I think he knows what he's about, and he knows that what he's about is kind of pageantry. Like,
Yeah.
he needs to show off the fact that, like, maybe he's not looking for violence, but this motherfucker is. Like, he says he's gonna go into the saloon looking to play cards, but he goes to the bar, and then he starts some shit like, I want some whiskey.
Yeah. Like, we don't have whiskey around here. Oh, what are they drinking? Whiskey?
And then he starts talking about how, like, all right, don't let my white clothes confuse you. Like, I'm an outlaw too. Like, he says it goofy, like an asshole, and he knows that that's disarming them.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's like, he's narrating how ridiculous his own character is.
Yeah.
I read up on this archetype, like the fancy cowboy. It's named after that drink, or he's named when you put grenadine and Coke. Roy Rogers.
Yeah, Roy Rogers.
There was an actual Roy Rogers cowboy that did like lasso tricks and like sang in the movies and shit.
What?
And like this is kind of like deconstructing that kind of archetype, the like performer cowboy to like show off like that guy's a fucking psychopath. Like he's showing up just to murder people.
Oh jeez.
And and you can't really tell by how folksy his voice is, but he like points out these guys and he basically tells them like you're dirty and you're smelly and all your friends are shitty.
Yeah,
but he says it nice.
He's so eloquent about
and
it.
He provokes them into violence.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking handles them all.
Yeah, he kills all of them and then he goes into town.
He doesn't even drink the whiskey. He doesn't even say the thing that he was pretending he was in there for.
No, he was there to kill people.
He first pretended he wanted to play cards, then he pretended he wanted whiskey, and then he just left after he murdered everybody.
I actually think that the first part of this film, obviously there's so much social commentary in here. I think this is about... You might find this odd because the movie's like probably 75% male. I feel like there's a lot of commentary on like feminism in this movie and problems with what's the word I'm looking for? Male
toxic masculinity?
Yes, toxic masculinity. There's a lot of this film where he like this first part of the film is about egos and pride.
I can see that.
His
too.
ego got him killed and he has this big ego and I got that very much so.
Because that's the world that's created when we allow the kind of like machismo to kind of like rule the world. What am I trying to say? I'm so stoned.
You and your Dahmer glasses.
I do have new glasses, and I do kind of look like Jeffrey Dahmer when I wear them. But Jeffrey Dahmer was a powerful man that murdered a lot of underage boys.
Yeah, but you know what's weird?
But like, apparently he was like super strong. Like he was a bodybuilder. Like he got put in jail, and he fucking wrecks some people.
Do you ever get in Reddit? There's some like weird ass shit for serial killers on Reddit. Like fan pages where like girls are like, oh, Jeffrey
I love true crime stuff, but I love just the morbid story of it,
yeah,
which is already kind of shitty. But I don't idealize these people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, maybe I kind of do because I was just talking about how Jeffrey Dahmer was super strong.
He was so strong.
But that's just that
time
part.
He beat a guy's chest.
But you see him, and then you see like a scrawny guy, and then you don't suspect that he's gonna be the guy in prison just whooping other people's ass. Like,
well, he did get killed in prison, though.
Yeah, but it was like he got jumped though.
Yeah,
it was insane. But like a lot of people.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting off topic.
Maybe society just conditions us to admire some of these people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Media,
I don't want to, but I definitely did say some
media
nice things
glorifies violence because that kind of thing sells money. You know what I mean?
And that's the kind of character that Buster Scruggs, to bring it back around, productive conversation,
hell yeah,
is kind of lampooning.
Yes.
Like they're making fun of these characters that are violent for our entertainment.
Can I just say though, in that scene where he shoots all those people in the bar, I love the Cohen Brothers' attention to detail, just like how he shoots a guy and the bullet goes through the wall, and the light shines through the
The
wall,
light
and then it shines
through his fucking body for a second.
Yeah,
Like,
I love the detail.
There's a lot of cartoon imagery. Like, this is all fucking stupid.
No,
like,
it's not. I love the detail that they applied into things.
No, that was not realistic. That was an attack on how dumb people are on this genre. He taps himself and he leaves a shadow of fucking dust. That's a straight Looney Tunes thing.
When he goes into the bar though, and he goes to play poker or whatever I don't know what they're playing.
The second bar.
Yeah, the second bar, and he's like, "Oh, can I take his seat?" And they're like, "Yeah, if you take his hand." And he looks at it and he's like, "Yeah, I'd rather not." The guy he faces off with is Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
I did not know that. I recognized his voice, but I was like, I don't know.
He plays Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob, Lex Luthor in the old Justice League cartoons, and he was guest starred in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise.
But did you see his hand when he picked it up?
Was it good?
So, like, yeah, he had two pair. It was 2 aces and 2 eights, and then a jack high.
Yeah.
So that's a solid hand. And the other guy already anteed up. He was going to get free money, but he decided to start some shit because he wanted to.
I didn't know if that was a good hand or not. I don't know.
No, it was really good.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But I love how the guy's going to threaten him and he doesn't have his gun, so he kicks the board on the table and causes the board to hit the gun and make the guy shoot himself. And then his brother comes in and is all angry while he's singing, and he's like, technically he committed suicide.
That was more cartoon imagery because his face was like all blackened with soot.
There were like fake eyeballs on him.
There was just like
it looked like gummy eyes.
They were just pulling shit from Looney Tunes, and then they like force you to realize how dumb that is because the brother kind of like rubs his face and you see how much blood is coming out of him, and it starts like seeping into reality. This movie goes from like lighthearted, like this is dumb, to like this is really dumb, but in a really dark way.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, absolutely. So the brother challenges him to a fight outside. So he goes, and I love this first shootout between the two of them
because again, he's not looking to defend himself; he's entertaining himself by like
he blows every one of the guy's fingers off,
murdering this guy.
Yeah, he shoots all of his fingers off, and it's really comedic, like Looney Tunes style.
More cartoon imagery.
Yeah. How the guy's panicking, trying to use his other hand to get his gun out of his holster.
He pulls a fucking mirror out, and he's trying to do like a backwards Annie
doing,
Oakley
that's
shot.
what I was about to say, yeah. My dad can do that.
Your dad's Buster Scruggs?
No, my dad can make that shot.
Your
Not
dad?
that shot, but he can do a shot with a mirror. He can actually, this is like totally off topic. He can use a black powder rifle, stick a match sticking up like 10 yards away, shoot the top of the match so it lights, and then shoot it so it goes out. That's pretty good.
Is your dad also an embodiment of morality being a social construct?
Maybe. He kind of looks like Quickly Down Under.
Is he like the ultimate affirmation that nihilism is like the real way to believe in life? Nothing matters?
I appreciate that. I don't know how many people are actually going to understand what we're talking about. But like if you don't know, nihil is Latin for nothing. Yeah. And nihilism is actually a genuine theory that life is meaningless. It's nothingness.
I think this movie is an argument of nihilism versus existentialism. This movie's a lot of things.
This is getting into some really philosophical
This movie's
territory.
a lot of fucking work. Like it throws so much at you that you're just like, fuck. Like the next one is all about whether or not justice is a thing.
Oh yeah.
Is there such a thing as justice?
Well, actually, I think that it's about our criminal justice system, which is BS.
But I think broadly it talks about that, and then it also kind of talks about how our justice system for sure is fucked up.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, he kills the brother, and then another dude comes in who's basically Buster Scruggs but younger, and he kills Buster Scruggs really easily, and then they have a little duet where his spirit
cartoon imagery because Buster Scruggs' spirit lifts out of his body and he has these tiny little baby wings that kind of like a little harp, and he starts playing. Yeah,
he flies away.
Wait, we have to talk about the best shot in the movie, and that's when Buster Scruggs is shot by like the new gun in town.
He doesn't recognize it at first.
He has to take off his hat, and like the camera is just really tight on
his face.
One bullet hole that's come through the front, and it's just kind of like charred. And then he like tilts the hat, and it reveals like brain just like splattered all over the inside, and like one perfect hole. And it's just, oh my god, that was such a good reveal.
Yeah, I thought that was a really tense scene. It was well shot. So then the next one, if we were rating these, the next one is definitely my second favorite. It's called Pan Shot.
I don't like this one.
Oh, well, I just like it because the crazy pan shot guy.
That was the most entertaining part of the bit, and then after that, it was just depressing.
Yeah, so James Franco, I don't know what the dude's name is. He goes to a bank in Tucumcari.
And they don't give him any backstory. They don't give us any reason for us to like him other than he's just robbing this bank.
Well, I mean, honestly, when I met the guy who's the teller, who's just like out of his mind, just babbling gibberish, I kind of like James Franco a little bit because I was just like, well, if these are the two characters to choose from.
But like, if you're looking at the movie and what it's asking you to do, who's in the right and who's in the wrong, and then coming off of the first Buster Scruggs where they tell you there's no such thing as right or wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
jump into
do you still hang on to that and you just root for James Franco, or do you disagree with the movie?
I
like,
think
there's right and
they're
wrong.
thinking you'll root for James Franco because James Franco is a pretty big name in film, right? A lot of women like him. A lot of people find him funny.
More attractive.
Yeah,
like there's every reason for us to like James Franco more than like the crazy bank teller
who's like old and fat and hairy.
But he's not doing anything wrong. He's just defending himself.
Yeah, except he's out of his mind.
But he's just defending himself.
So there's some really funny dialogue there, though. Like, probably one of the funnier scenes. And then James Franco's like, "You ever been robbed before?" And then he goes off and be like, "Oh yeah, I've been robbed lots of times." And he starts like spouting off the times he's been robbed. And then James Franco gets tired of listening to him, so he pulls out his gun. And then the bank teller's like, "Oh yeah, let me just get the money. It's down here." And then he ducks down and like blows out a bunch of holes from like shotguns.
He's like proto Batman.
Yeah.
He's prepared for everything.
And then James Franco climbs over to the other side, and the dude's gone. So he takes his money. When he gets back out to his horse, he gets shot in the back. And then he hides behind a well, which, by the way, the well said bad water on it. And then the dude comes out of nowhere in his long johns with pans tied all over him, saying, "Pan shot!" every time he shoots him because he hits a pan. Which kind of reminded me of Back to the Future Part 3, which in its own right was referencing a scene from a spaghetti western. What's it called? The one with Clint Eastwood where he has a piece of iron under his chest. I forgot. It's one of the spaghetti westerns.
I think the only spaghetti western I've ever seen... Oh, I've seen two. I've seen Django, and I've seen that one with Antonio Banderas where he has a gun attached to his like jockstrap. Have you seen that?
No.
It's just... I don't know. I was just watching it with my aunt and uncle because they wanted to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 7. And I don't remember anything other than Antonio Banderas shows up and kills a bunch of people.
Shoot, okay.
And I don't remember much else, but like it's like a spaghetti western set with Hispanic characters.
Okay, so isn't a spaghetti western just... What makes it a spaghetti western? It just has to be directed by an Italian person, right?
It's just an stylized western.
Oh, okay.
Like the Italians really liked westerns for some reason.
Yeah.
And so they're the ones that created a lot of...
Is it Sergio Leone? Is that who it is?
He was a big one.
Yeah, he was the one that directed the one I'm talking about. Okay, back to the point, though. So he gets hit in the head, and he wakes up, and he's about to be hung.
This is where the it starts off with criticism against our own legal system because James Franco's character has been put through a trial, but he's been too feverish to like properly defend himself, which is fucked up. But we know he's guilty of the crime, so like,
yeah,
it asks us whether or not that's just
true because he did commit the crime.
We saw him commit it. Like he admits to it. He says that guy doesn't fight fair, which is another jab at morality.
Yeah,
because he's the fucking bank robber and he's talking shit about the guy who was defending himself,
who shot him in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, I could see that. And so, but then the joke's on them because they all get killed by Native Americans.
Yeah,
in a raid. And then there's a couple of good shots in there where you think the Native Americans are going to shoot him, but they're shooting over his shoulder at someone else, and then they just laugh at him and ride away.
And they just leave him to die because they think it's hilarious.
Oh, I mean,
we think James Franco is going to die because his horse is just trying to get something to eat.
Yeah, there's some really funny shots where his horse is like going further and further away from the tree, just grazing, and he's still sitting there and almost choking.
Have you seen the 12 Years a Slave?
No, I didn't.
It was directed by a guy who used to do like classic style portraits.
Okay.
So a lot of his frames are like deliberately set up to be like moving like art.
Yeah.
And like there's a scene like the James Franco scene where the main character is hung by his neck and his toes can just barely touch the ground, so he's like struggling to not like slouch and start choking. It's a lot like James Franco, just like just like fighting to not die.
So here's a question for you. The guy that rescues him, he comes and he shoots the rope out from under, which is a reference to another Western. Spaghetti Western, actually, now that we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he rescues him, and then they're riding together, and then the Rangers or someone shows up, law, marshals, something, mm-hmm. and he turns around and runs the other way. Mm-hmm. Was he a criminal who stole all those cows?
Yeah.
He was?
He stole all those cows, and he was making some bullshit thing about, like, why he was all alone.
Yeah.
And he was like, I need a sidekick who's loyal, and then completely flips on that and just runs.
Okay.
And then James Franco gets committed for a crime. Tried, and
no, it's funny because
they found guilty for a crime he did not commit.
Yeah, they bring him into town, and they're like, what did he do? What did they say he did? Cattle rustling or something?
And the proof was that he was just there.
Yeah, he was there. Good enough for me. And then they hang him. I like the scene, though, where some dude's crying because they're about to hang him, and he's like, first time.
I think that's a jab at the, like, overly masculine nature of the heroes.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty funny. And then I guess the last thing he sees is a pretty girl, and then he gets hung.
Which is dumb.
Why?
It's dumb.
Why is that dumb?
Because he is not guilty of that crime.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a bigger question of whether or not he deserves to die anyway, because he was already convicted and sentenced to death, and he got away. But he's being murdered for something he did not commit, and then he ends the story with just like, oh, that's a pretty girl, so like we're lulled into like a false sense of like, okay, oh, he died happy, but that's still bullshit.
No, like, he didn't die happy, yeah. I mean, I'd rather die like that than die not happy, but yeah, I can see your point. So the next...
You see what I mean? Like this movie, and then it gets worse and worse. Yeah. Like, we watch him die through his perspective. We watch the match go on, and then we hear him struggle to breathe. And we hear the final, like, click.
Then... I guess one thing I liked about that is the sound kind of fades out very slowly. It doesn't, like... It's not abrupt.
Yeah, we're forced to experience the death.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of, like... I guess what it might be like to be guillotined or something. Like they say your head can stay alive for like up to 30 or 40 seconds after it's detached from your body.
Like pissed.
Are you conscious for that? Who knows?
Unless you pass out.
I hope so. I read Wikipedia articles late at night, and
That's what you read late at night?
Yeah, dude. I read.
What happens when you get your head chopped off?
No, I was reading about the French Revolution one time, and I was reading about.
Who reads about the French Revolution
the King Louis who got guillotined, and I was just curious, like, I wonder how long your head can survive. Because they said his head kept moving. His head kept moving after he died.
This is like a red flag moment. Like,
why?
I have to decide whether or not to report you now.
Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't even want to hear it.
That's just how I look. Appearances don't matter that much.
Yeah, the tall, skinny kid with the lesbian haircut is totally the serial killer.
Are we talking about you now?
Yeah.
Somebody said that they said you look like a cross between Shaggy and Justin Bieber.
Oh my god, yeah, I heard that.
And I was just like, Shaggy is cool. Like, why is that an insult? I fucking love Shaggy. Just traveling across America, getting stoned, hanging out with your dog that can speak English words sometimes. Velma's hotter than Daphne anyway. Shaggy the whole way. Until Scrappy shows up, because then he's stuck with like Scooby and Scrappy, and that's just too much dogs. You take Scrappy, Fred. Fucking dick.
Oh, I don't even know what to say that. Okay, so the next one.
Justin Bieber does suck. You do. Your hair does kind of look like his.
But like, had this haircut. Out of those two, Jason Bieber hasn't had this haircut in 8 years.
He owns that haircut, man. I'm sorry. Like, that's just.
What about Cole Sprouse? Dylan Sprouse? Drake Bell.
I can see that, but you have to bring that
Justin
up.
McCartney.
Like, if you want that to be your image, you have to bring them back into the like spotlight.
God, I hate
started like a Twitter page that's just like really supportive of one of the Sprouses, but not supportive of the other one.
I really hate you right now. Okay, what's the next one? Meal ticket.
This one's
Meal Ticket. Oh, it's
So depressing.
Yeah. It has Liam Neeson in it though. I guess it has that going for it.
This one, the message I feel like is so ambiguous. Like, this is the most art house of all of them. Like, it's hard to nail down what exactly this is in my mind. It has something to do with like agency and like versus slavery.
You think?
Because he makes that speech over and over. Like, he makes a Gettysburg Address. He talks about how he's Ozymandias.
That is my favorite poem.
So
I appreciated that. I love Ozymandias.
There's a lot of reference to like big grandiose ideas, but they're not being played out.
The idea of Ozymandias is just that time comes for everybody. Like, the most powerful person in the world today is going to be dust tomorrow, right? No matter who you are, no matter what, death comes for everybody. And I wonder if that's not, I guess, maybe a tone they're going for with this. Like, it doesn't matter if you should be, if it doesn't matter if you're disabled. It doesn't matter. Death doesn't discriminate. I don't know. I kind of got a vibe that maybe this was about.
But he only does the Ozymandias once, so I wonder if that has to do something.
They
with it,
showed
he does the other. He does the Gettysburg Address once, and he does one of them like a lot.
But he says, "I am Ozymandias." He quotes, "I am Ozymandias" a lot. Like, I think they said it 2 or 3 times, but that was the only one they went through its entirety.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I wonder. I mean, I feel bad for that guy because they keep going to more and more shows, and less people are coming, and so I guess. Okay, here's a question for you. When Liam Neeson goes to the brothel and he takes his handicapped friend with him, and I guess he has sex with the prostitute, and she asks him, "Do you want to buy any for your friend?" And he says no, and she says, "Has he ever had anybody?" And he said once. How do you take that? Do you take that as in like he used to buy him stuff when he was actually bringing him money?
There's so many ways to take that. It's like I have no idea.
Or maybe that's how he got his limbs taken. I don't know. Because that's an odd injury that you're not born that way.
Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. Like my mind like initially went to that he had sex with Liam Neeson's wife, and then he did all this as revenge. But that was just a fantasy I created. There's like no proof for that.
There's no proof for this idea, but maybe it's a social commentary on how maybe society treats outcasts. For example, like how veterans are kind of outcast by society because they've seen some serious shit.
No, I think there's definitely something to go with that, because the speech that he does the most is like, it's a government for the people, by the people, by the people, and then for the people. Like, everybody, not just the people who are able-bodied and can contribute to society. There's some people
get really messed up,
like lost in like the margins of society, and like set in the Western, those people are just dead.
Yeah,
how far is Liam Neeson supposed to carry this person? Like, if he's a burden, and then it gets to a point where like Liam Neeson can't provide for him, and it's just, or even if he just doesn't want to, like he's
very impatient. He doesn't like feeding him. He gets really irritated with him. You can tell.
Yeah, they have a shot of him feeding the chickens and how easy it was.
Yeah,
like this character is a burden on Liam Neeson, and like him doing the performance is kind of the only reason why he's alive. And if that performance starts slipping, then whose responsibility is it for this person to live? Yeah, it shouldn't be Liam Neeson.
Well, I mean, maybe it's also commentary on how marketplace evolves, and it screw the workers, because the people at the top are the ones who really those are the ones who benefit from it. That's what matters. So if you can replace a bunch of people's jobs with a machine or a chicken, why wouldn't you? Screw everybody else, because it's your profits that you care about.
I could see that on like the very last thing you said about profits, because I think the movie really does put profits ahead of human life.
Yeah. Did you think he was gonna kill the guy when immediately when he pulled over?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I it was really sad. I actually paused the TV on the books. I tried to read the pages because the pages continue or could show a little bit more. than...
Oh, I read them too.
Yeah. And you can kind of read, like, at least half a page. Unfortunately, it's a vertical half of a page instead of a horizontal half a page of what happened to his friend. But he totally killed him. He did. So, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I don't think there's any denying.
Okay, what about the All Gold Valley with Mr. Pocket?
I think that one is a big commentary on how capitalistic ideas destroy the environment, and then it uses those environmental...
Not just capitalists, but okay.
No, it's totally capitalist.
Okay, the Soviets dumped stuff in the Antarctic Ocean, too.
Yeah, but that's a government doing something. This is a set society, like, enabling and allowing its citizens to, like,
opposite system of capitalism. But okay, I kind of see where I was.
No,
I see what you're saying.
It's a set
different.
It's a set like system.
Okay, I see.
Is that it enables all citizens to actively participate in gold panning in this case, but like essentially destruction of the government, for
not even
destruction of the environment. For
not
profit.
even on a macro level, but on a micro level as well, like human greed again.
Yeah.
Well, like it is human nature to destroy anything and everything in your way to get what you want.
Yeah.
Whether that's nature, an animal,
and then
people's feelings.
And he calls the guy who jumps him a skunk for trying to steal his claim. But, like, how much claim does he have to land that isn't his?
Oh, yeah, he's stealing that.
They're both equally amount as thieves.
Yeah. But, okay, so the old guy, apparently he's a famous actor. I'd never seen him before. He
was really good.
I enjoyed, from a historical standpoint, because I really like history, watching how they narrowed down where a gold pocket was. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was a tense scene when he gets shot, and the other guy, like, rolls up a cigarette, smokes it, and then he gets shot. But overall, I didn't like this one very much. I thought it was boring.
All just dense.
Oh, but I have to pull my notes because there was one important note that I had out of it. Do you think the scene with the bird and the eggs, do you think that it's commentary on how we...
Consumption.
Yeah, because he's like, well, she can't count. Like I know I shouldn't... Well, I mean, people make fun of California for the whole plastic straw thing, but I'm just going to say this in plastic straw analogy. Because if you're from a state other than California right now, you probably think it's a joke, but it's actually like a really big issue. If you go to the ocean, there's like tons of plastic in the ocean.
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't really know that if you were in a landlocked state. But if the whole goal is to stop dumping plastic in the ocean, you're starting with straws and plastic bags. It is human nature to think, okay, we need to stop doing that. But everyone else is going to do it. So what does it matter if I do? You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, everyone else is going to stop doing it, so why can't I just have one? It won't make that much of a difference.
And then if everyone takes one...
If everyone thinks
then
that...
eventually that owl's extinct.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Also, totally late to this, but I was going to ask you, who do you think was the meal ticket in Meal Ticket? Was Liam Neeson the disabled man's meal ticket, or was the disabled man Liam Neeson's meal ticket?
I think as replaceable as the quadriplegic was, I think he was a meal ticket. I think that whole thing kind of like objectified him. He was a meal ticket.
Yeah, okay.
That's what he was. He wasn't a human.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't like the All Gold Valley one that much, but it was very beautifully shot.
That one straight up argued that nature itself has a much claim to itself as humans do. Like, the animals were like the main characters we were introduced to before the humans showed up. Yeah. And after the people showed up, all the animals left. When the butterflies leave, after you show up, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Is what the Cohen say.
I mean, alright, okay. Okay. You ain't gotta tell me twice. The next one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about the Oregon Trail.
I don't remember what it's called.
That one was my favorite out of them. Simply because it was the only one that I watched. And I was like, I could probably watch a whole movie about this.
It was
story.
The best story, for sure.
And it was very well shot. Obviously, it's the Coen Brothers. It's all well shot, but like I thought the landscape to shoot in was very pretty. But so this one is totally about toxic masculinity and feminism, more so than any of the others. The very first scene is two men mansplaining to two women and telling them they're stupid and they don't know what they're talking about.
The fucked up thing is that they were right.
The men?
Yeah. They were right about that cough. That cough killed
her brother. Well, the doctor dude or the fat dude who was mansplaining was right, but the brother was not. He was just being a douche.
I don't know.
He was mansplaining to his sister about something. But I thought this is interesting because I've read that back in those days when you'd stay at a bed and breakfast, that was common for a bunch of people you don't know. Just sit at a table and just talk constantly because they didn't have cell phones and television. That's what they did. That's such a scene that like strikes me as odd now, but it would have been totally normal back then. So that was kind of interesting. So
I want to talk about this story narratively because I feel like it does a flip. I feel like it sets up who's that writer? It's Billy like Nubs or something, and then the other guy. Like
Mr. Arthur and Mr. Nub. Is it Nub or is it?
I don't know. Tubbs or
Nab.
Mr.
Nab and Mr. Arthur.
Okay, so they set up Mr. Arthur as this guy who doesn't talk a lot.
They set up my granddad.
They set up the dog as being nervous and barks at animals that are bigger than him.
Oh yeah, President Pierce.
They set up the girl as not liking the dog, but at the very end of this story, the girl now cares about the dog enough to go out and look for it when she like wanted him put down earlier in the story.
Yeah.
The dog is barking at prairie dogs, which previously he's only been barking at animals that are bigger than him, and prairie dogs are not big animals.
But more importantly, the dog's name is President Pierce. Shout out to President Franklin Pierce.
I don't know anything about Franklin Pierce, so I can't say anything about it. I didn't even bother to look it up.
Wow, great, cool.
I would if my one inkling would be that President Pierce was somehow like some super liberal from back then, and like he was okay with gay marriage because the brother seemed super gay. But like that was just like something I got off.
That might have been why they call him doughboys if they considered him liberal. But if he was liberal, I guess that would have probably at the time made him Republican.
Anyway, hold on. I'm going to the
right. We're getting off topic.
Just my conspiracy theory, and then at the very end, the guy is so concerned for this woman's health, and like he's talking her through like this Comanche Indian attack.
Oh my god!
And she is just dead at the end of it.
Oh,
seemingly by suicide.
Yeah, okay. So I guess we'll get to your conspiracy theory at the end. We need to talk through the course of this first.
Everybody just automatically believe me. Don't worry about it. It's bullshit.
Okay.
When Jared's telling you, just remember, this guy's a fucking murdering asshole.
Who doesn't wear Jeffrey Dahmer glasses?
Alright, Bieber, take it away.
Screw you. Okay. Well, I was just gonna mention. So we cut from the bed and breakfast to the Oregon Trail. Her brother is basically pissing out his ass and coughing all the time because he has cholera and he dies. And so the writers, Mr. Arthur and Mr. Nab, Mr. Arthur, who is a really, 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 really old, archaic dude who doesn't like to talk a bunch, and Mr. Nab, who's probably 30s, 40s, middle-aged, lonely guy. You can tell he wants to be what he considers a gentleman to be. He wants to do the right thing based off of what he believes it to be, right?
I don't even think it's that. I think he's just tired of this life.
Yeah.
I think he sees in Mr. Arthur that, like, if he continues down this kind of, like, lonely path of, like, this employment of being a driver, I guess, of a trail or of a fucking wagon.
Yeah, that's going to be him.
Yeah. He's just going to end up like Mr. Arthur, just lonely and alone at the end. And he specifically wants a family, so he, like, finds this woman, and probably he says with the best of intentions, and I believe him, that he's like, hey, do you want to get married so I don't end up like this guy?
Yeah.
And then I'll take on all your debts.
Yes.
And in return. And I think that's where its biggest feminist argument is that in this society, like, sometimes women have to just give their entire lives to somebody
Yeah.
to like pay
And
off
that,
debts.
yeah, in that society, yeah, because women back then you couldn't vote, you didn't have certain rights, you were some women didn't even go to school. You were little more than property because most men, the only thing that gave you value to them was what was between your legs, the fact that you could produce a child, and that's what made you valuable, which is why women, if you really want to get like, they technically should be more valuable because they have that ability, but because of that, men treated them like property.
But this guy that comes at her, William Nab,
Yeah.
seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like he comes at her like pretty straightforward, lets her know like this is what I want to do and this is why I want to do it. And like because we are in an educated enough period that we can kind of tell that like that's a fucked up situation, but you kind of lucked out with that guy. Like,
yeah,
it could be way worse.
She was dead without him.
Yeah, but her ultimate demise at the end of it makes that all the worse because like she legitimately had a shot of having not an awful life with this man. Like he wasn't
He's a
garbage.
Good guy.
Yeah. Like
but the thing is,
she was vulnerable to garbage men, but like she lucked out.
Without him, she would have probably not made it to Oregon, and if she did, she would have had nothing when she got there.
So I think Arthur killed her to keep William Nab employed with him because I think he knows that he can't do it by himself.
Okay, it's an interesting theory.
So all the shifts in the narrative, like the woman actually caring about the dog, or the dog barking at smaller animals,
that is
or
genius.
Aaron actually being talkative and being nice and supportive when like everything else has been like cold and not caring.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the story, like the little paragraph, the Mr. Arthur was like, I wonder what I'm gonna tell Mr. Nab.
Yeah, Mr. Arthur had no idea what to tell Mr. Nab.
Just tell him the truth. If the truth is what actually happened, but the truth is ridiculous.
The truth is she got shot in the head by his gun.
Yeah.
But okay, I love, regardless of whether this is what really happens or not, I like the scene with the Native American raid on them. It's just like shot so great. It's tense.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of some scenes from one of my favorite westerns called the Dances with Wolves. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a great movie.
No, I've never seen
This
it.
movie, this particular short reminded me a lot of that movie. It actually won Best Picture of the Year.
The way it was shot and like how intimidating those horde of Indians like coming down on this guy looked, I was just like, there's no way he survives this. And when he does, that's when I started thinking about a conspiracy theory.
Lever action rifle. That is the only reason. No, that is the only reason he survived that. The lever action rifle was revolutionary when it came out because prior to this, if an Indian attacked you, Native American, if an Native American attacked you, you had a single shot rifle. Okay, and there were how many of them with bows and arrows that they could fire a lot faster than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lever action rifle that had a much greater range than that you could reload quickly, changed the game. One person was as good as 15. That is the only reason he survived that.
Or the whole story is made up and he just took that one.
No, yeah. I remember reading a story about like a group of soldiers who were pinned down by Native Americans during the wars with the Native Americans, and they all had single shot rifles except for their commander who had a lever action. He's the only reason they survived.
This is weird.
Why?
It's like a history lesson.
Sorry. This has been Boring History with Jared, the part of the show where Jared comes out and gives you some useless, boring history. Yeah, he's literally speechless. He has nothing to say right now.
No, I have a lot to say, but it's annoying, so I'm not going to say it.
No, go ahead.
Can you see how like history lessons like that kind of enable students to feel that the Indians deserve to lose because we were better technologically?
No.
I used to think that a lot in high school.
No.
They would teach us all about...
I mean, in a society that's killed or be killed, I can get that back then, but in retrospect, absolutely not.
No, I think it still is.
Really?
Like for like Manifest Destiny and all that to be justified in like the school system, they use a lot of like how technologically we were superior to like the natives.
I mean, there's no secret that there were like cruelties on both sides and heroes on both sides, but like regardless, I
so you think both sides had?
Yeah, there were good people on both sides, and bad people on both sides.
Jared's a racist. You heard him.
What? How's that racist?
Just a callback to Trump's. Both sides had fair arguments.
Oh, no, not even talking about that. I'm not even going to comment on that.
I'm sorry. I've been like knee deep in politics because it's like Game of Thrones hasn't shown up yet.
So you've just been like looking at politics.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, not political at all, but like historically, if you go research, there were good people and bad people on both sides that did terrible things.
I get that.
I mean, it was really just a shitty situation that we, well, I guess I say we, European immigrants put themselves in. I was not alive at the time, so Irving was.
Is that a reference to how old I am?
Yes. Irving is 29. 29 years old, people.
That's true.
29.
Jared's, how old are you?
13.
Yeah, but then that haircut makes sense.
Yeah,
Can't
no,
make fun of you for
22.
it. Then that haircut does not make sense.
Yeah, I know. I need to get a new dude. Okay, anyways, that is my favorite one. But at some point in the shootout, God, that was really off topic. At some point in the shootout, he hands her, I think it's before it actually starts, he hands her a revolver with 2 shots and says, if this goes south, kill yourself because they will rape you.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing is like how like women have to be so afraid of shit like that today. Like I think this is very on the nose, but in a good way about feminism or in like toxic masculinity. And she ends up killing herself because she thinks that he got killed.
I don't think she killed herself.
I know. But this is what the movie showed, regardless, is that. And then to wrap it up, we have one more short that we watched that's 25 minutes long. Actually, I know it's 20 minutes long, sorry. But the whole 20 minutes is just 5 people sitting in a stagecoach talking.
Yeah.
And they really held my attention for most of that. Like, there was some really good acting in there, but it was kind of like weird dialogue.
The 2 bounty hunters are the Cohen brothers.
They
look you right in the eyes. They're not actually the Coen.
Oh, I was like, damn, that's
and
not what I pictured them looking
They
like.
look you right in the eyes, and they tell you that they enjoy watching you struggle to figure out what it all means. And then they ask the Coen brothers, like, do people ever figure it out? I was like, I don't know. I just like watching you guys struggle. Like,
I really did like that. It's such a great scene, but I honestly, there's not much I can say about it. It's just you had to see it. It's so entertaining.
The other 3 break down.
Yeah, they all
the arguments that we laid out, basically.
Yeah.
Like whether or not there's good or evil. The woman is like there's
whether her husband
like
loves
the
her or
sinful
not.
or the not. Yeah, they question whether or not love is a thing.
Yeah. Or whether it's just based off of the desire to reproduce, like the trapper and
whether it's like nihilist or like existentialism, whether it's lucky or unlucky, like really just boiling down things to like arbitrariness.
Yeah, the Coen brothers are just like, well, I don't care.
The Coen brothers, I don't think the Coen brothers believe in good or bad.
It's kind of like J.J. Abrams' principle when making movies is like, I create a mystery box. It doesn't matter what's in the box. It's just the fact that you want to know what's in the box.
I hated that speech so much. I remember when that came out, people were looking at that as like the best way to like narratively drive a story, and I remember reading that and I was like, that's dumb.
I don't remember what was that from?
It was like a YouTube video. Oh. He did it right after the second Star Trek movie came out.
Oh really? Okay.
Or what it was about.
Okay, well that was a bad movie. Oh, I'm so mad about that as a Trek fan. Okay, anyway, sorry. Don't get me started on Star Trek. Okay. But so they get to a town and the 3 people are like terrified. Why are they so scared? I don't understand that.
They're dead. They're dead and they're being carried to the afterlife.
That's what that is?
Yes, the woman has been separated from her husband for 3 years. The husband's been dead for 3 years. That's what I think. I don't know.
That is that makes perfect sense.
And the woman is about to meet him and they haven't been together in a while.
And then the stagecoach driver doesn't stop.
And he's just kind of like a weird cloaked figure. And at the very end,
and it's like
he turns around and he leaves.
That's no, that has to be it. That makes perfect sense.
And the staircase is kind of like bathed in light, and they're kind of like the 2 bounty hunters are bringing somebody,
and they're just like laughing, making jokes the whole time. You know, he sleeps in your room.
And they explicitly said that the only way to see things is whether or not they're dead or alive, in reference to bounties. But like, I think the Coen brothers. I think the Coen brothers are making an argument because like. There's death all over these stories.
No, you're right.
I think they're saying, well, that's what matters.
I I actually, I was gonna say I don't recommend this movie, but after that, hell yeah, that's great.
It's a lot of work to get through this movie.
This is not. Film students will love this movie. I don't think the average moviegoer is gonna get much.
It's a fucking art piece. Like,
actually, did not like this.
It's the best art movie you'll ever see. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's like, oh god.
Well, yeah, I actually did not like this as a casual moviegoer. I mean, she's not even. I wouldn't even say casual. She likes movies. She's just not a film student. But like, we just had a talk that's reminiscent of like lectures I've had in film class.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a fucking lecture for like 2 hours.
There's a lot of like postmodernist stuff just shoved in there.
It's like they got tired of Quentin Tarantino being like the big auteur, and they're like, you guys want fragmented storytelling and like overly like philosophical dialogue? Here you go. And they
here's
just threw
bare,
everything.
nude, raw stuff, whatever it is. Okay. Then, from useless to view this, what do you think?
I'm always...
On a scale of something.
I'm always in favor of movies that have a lot to say, but are like, at the bottom line, I like movies that are entertaining, and I don't know if I would classify, like, Philosophy 302 as a fucking good time. It was fucking hard getting through this movie. It was like... actual... And, like, some people actually enjoy that. Some people's biggest criticism on, like, mainstream movies is the fact that they do not challenge the audience.
I'm one of those people. This was too much, though.
But this was, like, full-on asking you to, like, question your core beliefs.
Yeah.
It was just like, fuck.
The sad part is, though, it's so intelligently crafted, I don't think that the average moviegoer will get that. I think it's just going to go right over their heads.
But I think there was a lot of stuff in there that people can pick up on.
Yeah, maybe.
Just like
little things.
Yeah. Like the repetition of violence.
Yeah.
In the first one of Buster Scruggs, like he just gets replaced, and then pretty soon he's gonna get replaced by somebody else.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a lot of social commentary in here, and if you like a movie that's full of something to say, then definitely watch this. But if you just go to movies for entertainment, this might go over your head. You might not enjoy it because everybody died. Like, literally everybody died.
If you have 2 free hours and you want to spend it watching this movie, just know that you're going to leave it stressed rather than entertained.
Oh, absolutely. If you are someone who enjoys, like, film philosophy and stuff like that, you should watch this. And if not, I don't recommend it.
Don't watch it unless you're ready to engage with it, or else you're not going to enjoy it.
This is a recurring theme with us, but all the interesting characters die.
Where?
In this movie. But people are just kind of like vanilla, they're flat, like Mr. Arthur, they live. And we've recurred this in some of our other movies, being vanilla. This is further evidence. Don't be interesting. Take those glasses off. I'm shaving my head. We're not going to stand out.
You think glasses make me interesting? They just make me better able to see things.
Like how shitty our podcast is?
I mean, I would just need ears for that. That's fine.
All right. Well, what are we doing next week?
We're having an argument.
Yes. We're actually going to reformat this a little bit. So what we've decided is we're going to try to do 3. Well, we're going to get our uploading on schedule, and then we're going to do 3 movie reviews a month, and then 1 movie. What are we going to call this? Movie
fight.
No, Screen Junkies took it.
Is that a thing that Screen Junkies did?
Yeah. We can't
What's
do movie
Screen
fight.
Junkies?
Movie Smackdown. I don't know.
Is that like a YouTube channel? I think I've
seen
them.
Screen Junkies is, yeah. They do honest trailers.
Oh, that's who they are.
Yeah.
Fuck, those guys are good. We can't steal their shit.
Yeah, no. We could be like, Movie Smackdown.
No, it's dumb. Derivative and dumb. Movie eloquent talk show with Shaggy and Dahmer. Cinema
Smackdown. That sounds good.
Cinema Smackdown?
Yeah, this is Cinema Smackdown.
I don't know if I approve of that name, but
I can do it. With that voice, I can make this.
I'm not going to make a voice, but I will participate.
Okay. Tune in next week for Cinema Smackdown, the inaugural Cinema Smackdown.
Sex Down.
With 2
pieces of Cinnabons smeared
but
across
we're like
our
raw,
sexual
nasty dough. Oh, God.
You were saying raw, nasty dough right when I was saying that.
I
That's
know.
awesome.
I realized that. Okay.
People are going to think we like coordinated that.
Anyways, we'll see you there.
Raw, nasty, and doughy like my body's physique.
Tune in next week to see two raw glazed globs of dough debate a multitude of critical cinematic arguments that have no relevance or importance other than the fact that they need to decide what the best film they butchered in a review was last year, and they decided to drag you into the imbecilic babble. Thanks, assholes. Irving, what the hell are you doing with that raw dough?
It's not what it looks like. I'm putting it on my penis.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Well, do you want chocolate or cream?